Well, all you sports fans out there, welcome to Hot Seat Sports Talk. Hey, it's just me and you this week.
This will be very interesting.
Yeah, this will be interesting indeed.
Let's hope we don't get too heated, but we also have a good talk.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hyped for today.
Yeah, so before we get started, please remember to like and subscribe to this channel. And happy 2-year anniversary to the show.
Oh, man.
2 full years.
It went by very fast.
2 full years, 3 seasons.
Look at us. Look how we started. Look where we are now.
Yeah, we got a long way to go still. Until
We
the
do,
end. Until
pretty
the
much.
end. Yeah.
Whole semester.
Yep. So we're going to introduce a new segment here. Open up.
All right.
Called the 4-minute offense. 1 minute each topic. Since there's 2 of us, 30 seconds each.
All right, that works.
So, start off. Kansas City releases Kareem Hunt following the release of incident. I'll start off.
Right.
This is terrible in my opinion. And so it's a terrible thing of what happened. You know, it makes Ray Rice's incident look, you know, nonchalant to this. It looks horrible. It's horrible for Kansas City. Even worse for Kareem Hunt. I don't think he's going to put on a jersey again in the NFL.
I mean, I couldn't really agree with you more. What he did was literally just unbelievable to think of. I mean, they always had that policy of just not abusing, and look what Kareem Hunt did. He's, in my opinion, I think he ruined his career, honestly.
He's done.
He's pretty much done. I don't know if there's going to be a team that would want to sign him with the background history that he has now. And if he does get signed to a team, there's going to be backlash no matter what. So no matter what, he ruined his season. He ruined his career. So who knows what's going to happen to Kareem Hunt, but I lost all respect for him. Just cannot treat women, men, people in general like that.
Is Matthew Stafford the answer going forward?
I mean, he's having a bad season. Coaching changes, players that he's used to throwing the ball to for years have been gone and now injured. He's trying to just running back carry on. He's been doing great for the Lions. Offense has been injured. Just defense is up and down all the time. I just think it's a bad season. He's been pretty good for 10 years. We could use better, honestly, but I think what we have is we're not going to get any better, to be honest.
No.
I think it's fine.
Here's my take. Matthew Stafford for 10 years. How many playoff wins?
Probably 0.
None. Not exactly. So only 2 playoff berths for his entire career as a Lion. Mostly losing seasons after that. No support system.
That's it. That's
I mean, he had Calvin for most of his years. Then he had Tate. Tate's gone. Marvin Jones is gone for the year. Carry-on's, we don't know if he's coming back. He has, you know, in the past he's had Reggie Bush. He's had Javid Bet. He hasn't had standouts in his 10 years as a Lion. The next year might be his last year. He'll finish out this year, play next season, and then he'll
just his contract extension.
And then he'll leave without the Lions hitting a $30 million cap.
It'll be very interesting to see going forward.
Packers fire McCarthy. Yeah, after they lost to Arizona. Here's my thing. Now everything's set up for Rodgers. He got rid of the coach he didn't like. I mean, most of his teammates. I mean, you look at him. He's with young teammates, not older guys. He's the old guy on that team. All of his guys are young. He doesn't know how to act with them. He doesn't know how to prep with them because they prep differently than he does because he's been around for a long time. So, you know, Mike McCarthy, he's going to find a new home soon. I've been hearing Cleveland. I've been hearing other things. So, I mean, this is a turn for Green Bay going forward with Rodgers. You know, he finally got his wishes. So, I mean, he's no Breeze. He's no Manning. He's not like. Let's just see how he does.
Packers suck bad this season.
I agree.
Compared just even to the Lions, they'd be tied if it wasn't for that tie game.
Exactly.
So I really don't know what the difference is from firing him now to the end of the season, what difference it would make, but I guess they were just tired of him. Just like you said, all the new younger players that Aaron Rodgers isn't used to, and just it's not clicking for him, and they'd probably rather get rid of their coach than their franchise player. So
exactly.
He'll find a new home. Mike McCarthy's a great coach, but just Green Bay hasn't lived up to expectations. That's it.
And Urban Meyer's to retire after the end of the season. Will coach his final game in the Rose Bowl, which we'll go over all the bowl games next week.
I mean,
so
it's just very tragic to hear about all the health issues he's had, and then with his offensive who was the man?
Offensive coordinator.
It was
someone in his staff.
Yeah, I forgot his name, but it was that incident ruined him too. It was chronic headaches. Just
exactly.
Honestly, I think not looking at what happened with his staff, I think he was amazing for Ohio State. Just had an amazing career. Hopefully, I want to see him coach again, but I would rather have him be healthy and not coach than be coaching but also not healthy. So I'd rather look out for the better of himself. But I think he has a great legacy going forward from now.
For me, he's probably one of the top. Right now, he's a top 3 coach.
Yes.
Probably go Nick Saban, Meyer, probably Meyer number 2. You know, the culture of the Big Ten is going to change.
Definitely.
The way that things are to be, the way the games are going to go. Michigan, obviously, no success against him because Urban Meyer owned Michigan. Against Michigan State, he had his ups and downs. Against other teams, he had his, he's almost pretty, consistent in every week. He was a great coach at Florida, great coach at Ohio State, going to national championship, winning that. He was a great coach. We'll see if he can just ride off in the sunset in the Rose Bowl. So, college football championship week.
Nice.
Let's put those right up on the screen. So let's go. Utah goes down in the Pac-12.
I mean, I pretty much expected this.
But a low-scoring game.
Very low scoring.
10-3.
Must have been hard fought. Defensively, must have been working their butt off.
Exactly.
But
It's bad. It was bad. I mean,
It wasn't bad, but it's just
boring,
I expected
boring.
Washington to win.
This next score underneath was a pretty good one. Oklahoma wins the Big 12, 39-27 over Texas. It was a good game.
Texas really fought their way, but Kyler Murray is just a better quarterback when it comes to both sides.
Yeah. And then Northwestern
And
going down to Ohio State. Yeah.
Jimmy Haskins went off.
We all called that one. And Alabama coming back. It's not been a good way for Georgia fans.
Not this season.
Falcons, and then 2 times with Georgia. National championship. Now they're out of the playoffs.
Georgia was leading pretty much the whole game until I believe the 4th quarter when Alabama and Jalen Hurts. Tua got hurt. Jalen Hurts came back, let him win. Just knows.
Boom.
They're unlimited pretty much when it comes to quarterbacks. Their players,
Boom.
They're amazing. Alabama all the way, pretty much.
They could start their kicker at quarterback. It'll probably work.
It's not wrong.
So, week 15. One game. Week 15 for college football. One game.
Oh.
Kind of like a bowl game.
Okay.
The classic. It's Navy and
that's
Army.
Why.
Mm-hmm.
Mean.
So, that's kind of opposite seasons for these two. Navy's 3-9, Army's 9-3.
Huh. So.
Both these teams don't like to throw the ball at all.
Mm-mm.
They run the ball all the time.
Oh yes.
They don't even believe in a receiver. They just run. They just run. They have these different formations on offense. It's just a ground and pound game. So, in terms of this one, I got Army. I'm sorry.
I agree with you.
I'm sorry. Cam Shook, if you're watching this, I'm sorry.
I mean, yeah, I gotta agree with you. I think Army's just having a better season. Who knows though? This game always has surprises in it, but you have to go Army pretty much.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. NBA Friday. We're each going to go 1 minute, 30 seconds each, about each matchup.
All right.
Philadelphia comes to Detroit. Now, Detroit goes 5-1 on their homestand, including beating Golden State in that stand. They lost to the Thunder. Now they've lost 2 in a row. They've lost to Oklahoma City and Milwaukee. Now they're coming home playing Philly. In terms of this game, Philly's got their number. It's Philadelphia.
I mean, alone with the acquisition of Jimmy Butler makes this game different. Because I believe last time they played, Jimmy Butler wasn't on the team yet.
Correct.
So, and they're clicking too, Philadelphia. I mean, Detroit, they always have their up and down. I always feel they can always win games, but I mean, I think Philadelphia is more in tune with their players and more in sync. And I think Philadelphia has this as well. Sorry, but just got to go with the kind of logic, but yeah.
All right. Then the Los Angeles Lakers are going to San Antonio after beating them the other night for the final matchup of the year.
Lakers won that game against San Antonio last night.
Yeah,
and
on Wednesday night. Yep.
Mm-hmm. That's going to give them no momentum. But San Antonio at home, it's
inconsistent.
Yes.
11 and 14. Are you kidding me?
They have not lived up to expectations.
They're second to last in the conference. When was the last time you could say that about that team? Never.
But way before Tim Duncan, probably.
Like 1995?
Yeah.
It's 2018.
That's a while. But
I think Spurs fans, we've been spoiled.
Oh yeah.
We've been spoiled.
And then the whole Kawhi situation happened.
That hurt us. I was last season. I told you it was gonna hurt us. It hurt us. I can't take LeBron. I'm going with my Spurs, of course.
I have to go with San Antonio. I feel like at home they're going to get the momentum, but if LeBron goes off, then you can't really stop LeBron. That's also all you can say about that.
All right, Golden State and Milwaukee. Milwaukee coming off the win against Detroit.
Again, Golden State has also kind of been inconsistent from what we've seen in previous years. And Milwaukee coming off a big win too. Giannis, Greek freak, really
Posterized.
There's probably, yeah. Literally, I can only say one player could probably stop him, and that's KD because of his length as well. But
right.
I don't know. I'm feeling Milwaukee on this again. I feel like they're just having
like
a lot more hype on this.
I like it. In terms of me, Milwaukee's been exceeding everyone's expectations, but come playoff time, they'll just crash like they always do.
Usually happens.
Golden State, they're just getting warmed up, even though they haven't
Clicked.
They haven't clicked. Curry's been out. Curry
Yep.
was out. That's why they were so inconsistent. Once Curry gets his groove back with the team, they'll start winning. Golden State's got this one.
All right.
Without a
I
doubt.
can appreciate that too.
So, let's go to the National Football League
All
for
right.
week number 14.
14.
Wow, it's been a long time.
Long season. A lot has happened too.
Oh, yeah. So, let's get started. Baltimore's going to Kansas City. Kansas City is -6.5. It's Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly. They lit up the Raiders, I believe.
And now it's Spencer Ware.
Yes,
in that backfield.
They don't really need, as long as they have consistent offense, no matter who's at running back, who's at wide receiver, who's at quarterback. But obviously it makes it better.
As long as Mahomes doesn't get hurt, they're going to be fine.
They're going to be fine, yes.
But Baltimore's got a great defense.
That's true, but
it's
a great
Lamar
offense
Jackson.
against a great defense.
Lamar Jackson, it's his fourth or fifth. He can't win it.
He's been undefeated so far this season, though.
Yeah, but it's going to be tough from winning Arrowhead.
That's why I'm going to give this game to Kansas City.
I'm going Kansas City as well. Let's go Indianapolis at Houston.
Two very
Well,
decent
considering that I took Indianapolis as my lock last week.
And what happened?
They got shut out 6-0.
But that was tough. Andrew Luck just could not score that game. That's probably
6-0. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
That's I just you wouldn't believe in how.
I have a
frustrated
good question
was.
for you.
Hmm.
Do you think Houston will win out the rest of the season?
No.
No. Do you think they're going to win this game?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I'm taking those. I'm taking them in this one.
Houston's just amazing. After their 3 in a row loss at the beginning of the season, they've been great. I think they're going to win this game.
Yep. Carolina at Cleveland. Carolina's getting only 1.5.
Because Carolina's been slacking a little bit the past few weeks.
Give me Cleveland as my upset for the week.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
You think Baker's going to show them up?
It's not just the fact. It's not Baker showing them up. It's the fact that Carolina won't show up at all.
All right. You can't really say that any better. Because, yeah, Carolina's been very inconsistent these last 3 weeks.
Oh, they have.
Very.
They have.
But, I don't know. I'm still, even on the road,
Yeah.
I think if Carolina does not win this game, they're going to never let this go. I'm going to get this Carolina.
Okay. Next one.
Green Bay
At home.
against the Atlanta Falcons. This
Again, 2 inconsistent offenses.
Yes, Atlanta. Who knows now because
Green Bay. Well, who knows now again.
exactly.
But this game is going to be Rodgers. Rodgers. This game is going to be Rodgers. He's going to torch. It's Atlanta. Atlanta has a terrible defense.
Especially because all their injuries too.
Atlanta has a terrible defense, and they're playing in the tundra, so it's going to be
Outside.
It's going to be cold. Atlanta is not good in the cold, so it's going to be Green Bay in this one all day. Rodgers is going to have himself a day.
I agree with you. I think Green Bay's going to win as well.
Yep.
And then we got the New Orleans Saints going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay, Tampa Bay after winning last week against Carolina at home.
Mm-hmm.
Winston looked okay. Cam Newton had like 4 interceptions.
Yep. Very
So
bad. Because I believe one player had 3 interceptions.
and New Orleans' secondary is pretty
Not the same.
It's not the same, but it's still better than Tampa Bay's.
Yes.
So, and it's New Orleans. It's
better.
true. It's Drew Brees. It's Mike Thomas. It's Mark Ingram. It's Kamara. It's
There are other players that Drew Brees can throw
But
to.
you have to remember Tampa Bay did
They did beat them. Yep.
in the beginning of the year. Their only loss.
New Orleans has to win this.
Yeah, they do.
They're going to win this.
Yeah, they're gonna win this one easy. So
Ooh, a rematch.
a rematch. New York Jets at Buffalo. Josh Allen.
What about Josh Allen?
He's gonna have like Rodgers a day.
A day?
Yes. They're gonna torch New York's defense. It's gonna be bad. I mean, even though Buffalo cut Calvin Benjamin and Andre Holmes this week,
very shocking to hear.
This past week, Buffalo's still gonna take care of business. I have a feeling LaShawn McCoy will finally come back.
He needs to come back
and actually like be productive for once.
For once this season, at least. Yes. Over under. Josh Allen 2 hurdles.
Under, definitely.
No matter what, I still think Buffalo's gonna win too. But 1 hurdle, I'll be going.
It's the Jets, so I wouldn't be surprised. So, New York at Washington.
Giants.
Giants, duh. So, New York's minus 3.5. New York's been a little bit on a roll, kind of.
Their running back pick in the NFL draft so far looks amazing.
In case you haven't known, his name is Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley's the face of the New York Giants, pretty much.
He might save your season.
Definitely.
He might have made you go, carried you to the playoffs. But in terms of this game, Washington is starting Mark Sanchez. Because Colt McCoy broke his leg.
Oh, man. Yes.
So,
news of Alex Smith, after he had surgery, apparently his leg got infected.
Oh, that's
during
great.
surgery, so that's even worse for him. The Washington's just been a whole mess with injuries, but
and they haven't been a mess. I'm surprised. And they signed Rupert Foster, as we talked about last week, with Darian Harris on the show. That's also bad. So they got their conduct issues, their injury issues, and that all combines to terrible play. That's why New York's going to win this one.
Yeah, pretty much. If Saquon has a good game, New York has a good game, I think. And Odell. Odell's been receiving and passing touchdown. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
So, I think New York, too.
Fun fact, Odell has 2 touchdown passes of 40 yards and plus. You know how many Eli has? None.
That's tough.
So
that's very tough.
Think about that. So, next game, Denver at San Francisco. Denver, after losing Emmanuel Sanders in practice on Wednesday.
That was very Achilles injury, I believe.
That hurts their chances of even making the wild card. But it's San Francisco. They're so inconsistent. But Pettis has emerged as a good receiver for them.
And
it's a good pickup for fantasy as well.
Cortland Sutton still.
Cortland Sutton, yeah, he's going to get a lot of time. But Philip Lindsay, we'll get to him later. We'll get to him in a minute.
Talk about Philip Lindsay. He's amazing.
We'll get to him in a minute. Denver should take care of him.
I don't see why they shouldn't, no matter with their injuries. And Case Keenum's looking like he's clicking more, even though of the injuries, but Denver's more complete when it comes to this.
And here's the biggest spread of the week. Cincinnati at the Chargers. The Chargers are getting 2 touchdowns.
The Chargers are
This is my lock.
Mr. Lock?
Oh, yeah. This is my lock. I love this one. Phillip Rivers. The way that the Chargers came back in Pittsburgh last Sunday night was great.
It
was great. It was great. It showed of what this Chargers team could do.
It shows they need and want to actually be in the playoffs because they feel like they deserve it. Yes,
this time they deserve it. And Cincinnati, they got their AJ Green's out for the year. Andy Dalton's out for the year. Tyler Boyd's going to get double covered all the time. Mixon's going to have a tough time against their line and their linebackers. So it's just going to be a bad day to be a Bengal.
But a good day to be a Chargers fan because I picked the Chargers.
That's your lock too?
Yes.
All right. So then we have the Detroit Lions.
Come on. Detroit. Let's go Detroit.
We're going to Arizona. Detroit is -3, so we're the favorite in this one, but not by much.
Not by much.
Let's see. As we talk about Matthew Stafford, 10-year veteran, Josh Rosen, rookie. This is tough because it's Gerald against no receivers on Detroit.
Galladay, I guess. Galladay's probably our top receiver now.
Yeah, it's been
Johnson versus Blunt and
this is gonna be a really close. This is gonna be a really close game. That Detroit will win.
Yep. I gotta say Detroit's gonna win as well. They have to. I think their defense is gonna step up more than any part of their team. Either that or special teams.
Next one, probably America's Game of the Week.
America's Game of the Week. We got the Philadelphia Eagles playing at AT&T Stadium.
And the Jerry Dome.
Jerry Dome, pretty much, yeah. Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas is -3. It's Zeke
against the world.
Yes.
Zeke is
They're going to feed him, but Golden Tate finally emerged.
2-point conversion and a touchdown.
There we go. Finally, he's starting to click, but like I said last week, that's not going to matter. At least in my opinion. But Phil, I don't know. Whoever wins this game is in control first in the NFC East.
Yes, because this is probably the closest division other than New York Giants.
They're in that division. Oh yeah, but
yeah, it's probably the closest.
But Washington's going to be out of it in 3 weeks, so it's really it comes down to this game, and Jerry's boys are going to win this one.
I feel like Philadelphia has more of an offensive presence, so we're not even looking at running backs, quarterback-wise, tight ends.
Oh, Ertz is available, yeah.
Ertz is available. And Dallas Goedert, he's pretty decent blocking and receiving. So I think Philadelphia's going to win this. Philadelphia.
Is that your upset for the week?
It's my upset for the week.
Okay. And now we have Pittsburgh and the James Conner-less Steelers.
That's very devastating here.
At Oakland, Pittsburgh's -10.5. Here's the thing. Conner, like me and many other fantasy football owners and Pittsburgh fans, we were gasping for because he was hurt on Sunday night. Went off. He could barely put any weight on his leg. It's only it's nothing major. He's just out for this week.
They don't want it to get worse.
Oakland. It's against Oakland. Yes. When they come back, it's going to be different because I think they have New England next week.
That's going to be huge.
But Jalen Samuels will start at running back.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, when they never throw the ball to Conner, it's always the Samuels. So, yeah, Pittsburgh's just going to win this game. Oakland is not.
No, Oakland's been a letdown this season.
Oh, yeah, they're rebuilding.
Everything.
They're rebuilding.
I think Pittsburgh has this.
Yep, so my lock, I'm going with the Chargers, and my upset will be the Cleveland Browns for this week.
Yep.
And your lock is the
Chargers and my upset
and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep.
So, and Sunday Night Football, Los Angeles Rams, after that slow game in Detroit last week, going to Chicago. Here's the thing, being in attendance during that Rams game, they couldn't get nothing going against Detroit. It's Detroit's defense. Really? You can only put up 30 against them? I thought they were about to put up 45 on them. I really did. But they put up 30. Gurley with his teasing run all the way down to the 1, and he got tackled.
Yep.
That was teasing. LA took care of Detroit. Chicago's going to be different for them because they're not going to put up that many. It's cold. They're not used to it. It's Chicago. It's Khalil Mack.
That's
Khalil Mack and Eddie Jackson. But the greatest show on turf will prevail, and they'll win this game. Not by much. Not by much.
I think the only other game they could lose this season is against the Chicago Bears. When you're arguing about...
Well, they already lost a game. They lost to the Saints.
Their second loss.
Yeah, but...
When it comes to great offenses versus great defenses, I mean, Chicago, if Mitchell Trubisky comes back, that'll give them more. I'm not going to say it's going to lead them over the Rams defense, but it's going to be...
It'll definitely be...
more of a upbringing for them. But I don't know. I think Chicago may win this game. I'm going to pick Chicago on this.
Yeah? Interesting.
A home factor is huge.
Yeah, prime time, tree time. Or the tree stopping game. Tree topper. And in the second tree topper, Minnesota at Seattle.
That was be a close game too.
Seattle's -3. Seattle's been looking good.
They've been looking good second half season.
They've been looking good. But Minnesota's looking good.
Looking better, yes.
They're looking way better. It's a rematch of the Big Ten championship game from 2010 between Kirk Cousins and Russell Wilson.
Oh boy.
So, in terms of this, I think the loser of that game will prevail in this one, and that would be Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings.
I don't know. We just talked about this. Seattle's looking better second half of the season. Russell Wilson's just doing everything.
Yeah.
At home again. I'm going to go Seattle.
All right. So let's go back to the fantasy zone. We're back.
Fantasy football.
So let's put the graphic up on the screen as we talk about it. Philip Rivers at home, at home against Cincinnati.
Your start of the week?
Yeah, start of the week. Rivers is playing some of his best football of his career, throwing 11 touchdowns and 3 interceptions over 5 games.
That is amazing.
He should continue to produce at a high level when the Bengals come to town, as their defense has surrendered 122.3 passer rating and 21 points per game to quarterbacks since week 10.
Jesus.
Ben Roethlisberger against Oakland. Duh. Roethlisberger is coming off his worst stat line since week 8 and has still scored a respectable 17 points in a loss to the Chargers. He should rebound in what could be a high-scoring affair at Oakland, as the Raiders have surrendered 105.5 passer rating and the 4th most fantasy points for quarterbacks on their home field.
That's insane.
Kirk Cousins against Seattle.
All right.
You might look at Cousins' matchup at Seattle and think it's a bad on paper, but is it? Their defense has given up a top 15 fantasy quarterback in 6 straight games, including 3 top 10 games, allowed Nick Mullins to throw over 400 yards against them last week.
Yep.
Consider Cousins a legitimate stardom this week. Dak Prescott against Philly. Prescott has failed to score 15 fantasy points in 3 of his last 5, but I'd like to put up a nice stat line in what is a favorable matchup against Philly. Their defense, which has dealt with a number of injuries, has allowed 106.8 passer rating and the 4th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks in 2018. Baker Mayfield against Carolina.
Ooh.
Like I said when we were making our picks, Mayfield is coming off his worst fantasy line since week 9, scoring 13 points in the loss to the Texans. He did throw for almost 400 yards. However, a week 14 matchup against the Panthers is going to be a great one for him. Carolina's defense has allowed 14 touchdowns to quarterbacks on the road this year. Stardom, Andrew Luck, Lamar Jackson at Kansas City, and a sleeper is Josh Allen against the Jets.
Ooh, interesting picks. Interesting picks. I'm going to warn you, mine are probably going to be a little iffy, but I'm going to stick to them. So, quarterback you should sit is Matt Ryan versus Green Bay Packers. He's only scored an average of 17 points per game since week 10.
Yep.
And the Packers have only allowed 13.5 fantasy points per game to quarterbacks at Lambeau Field.
Yep.
So it's just not looking good for Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. You have to, now if you're an owner in the playoffs, now since it's the first week, if you're on the bye, congratulations. You only need 2 more to win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're playing this week, you need to make these big decisions
Yes.
that could end up costing you the year.
Yes.
So
It's
I mean
very
that's an interesting one. What else
And
you got?
then you should also sit, as I was saying before, about this matchup, Jared Goff versus the Chicago Bears. I know he's pretty good this season,
He only
but
put up 10 points last week
Exactly.
against Detroit.
look at this. The Bears defense has allowed an 80.3 passer rating to quarterbacks. That's way below the average passer rating should be.
Yep.
And the Bears allowed 15 fantasy points to quarterbacks at Soldier Field. So again, 10, 15, that's not looking too good for Jared Goff and the Rams. Maybe other ways they could win this game, but Jared Goff does not look like a good matchup for this game this week.
So, start of the week for running backs. We're going to go Aaron Jones against Atlanta.
I like that.
Jones somehow split touches with Jamal Williams last week, but he still finished with 15 points in the loss to the Cardinals. Again, don't know how that happened. But I expect him to see more opportunities ahead, as Jones will face the Falcons' defense that has allowed most 5 yards per rush and 4th most fantasy points to enemy running backs. Philip Lindsay, the Tasmanian Devil,
He's
versus
a
San
beast.
Francisco. Lindsay has been one of the hottest running backs in fantasy football, scoring 5 touchdowns in his last 3 games. He's also coming off a season high 19 carries, so the Broncos are using him more as a feature back as well. He's a must-start for this week. Now, this one you might not like if you're an Alvin Kamara owner, but Mark Ingram against Tampa Bay. Ingram has posted 2 straight stinkers, scoring a combined 13 points against Atlanta and Dallas. I think he'll rebound this week, though. It's a positive matchup against the Buccaneers away. Tampa's defense has allowed 18 total touchdowns, an average of 28 fantasy points per contest to running backs. Obviously, he'll split that with Kamara, but and play by ear. Sony Michel against Miami. Really? It's the Dolphins. Come on.
Yeah.
They're not that good. The Patriots went back to old Bellatrix last week with James Devlin, a fullback, scoring 2 touchdowns.
That's
But I still like Mitchell as a flex starter this week as he faces the Dolphins. Their defense has had a tough time against the run, around like about 5 yards per rush, and the 6th most fantasy points to running backs. Like I said, Jalen Samuels against Oakland. Without Connor, it's while he could lose some snaps to Stephen Ridley, who's their 4th back. I like the rookie to lead the Steelers' backfield in touches against the Raiders, defense that's allowed the most rushing yards to opposing running backs all year. You start David Johnson against Detroit. Lamar Miller, who's come alive the last 3 weeks against Indy. Sleepers are Jeff Wilson Jr. against Denver and Justin Jackson against Cincinnati.
Very interesting, very interesting. For the running back sit of the week, you got to sit Tevin Coleman versus the Packers. His numbers have been horrible. He failed to rush for 10 yards in the last 2 games.
Oh, yeah, that's
He
bad.
can't even get 1 point, basically, from rushing yards. And then the Packers have only allowed 3 touchdowns to their runners at Lambeau Field this season. So basically, Atlanta's offense is not looking good at all versus the Packers. And then you should also sit Jordan Howard versus the Rams, looking at the other side of the matchup. He's failed to score double-digit points in 4 straight games.
He is a touchdown-dependent fantasy player, and now if you're in the playoffs, that's something you can't not need.
That is exactly the kind of fantasy player he is. And he's a fadeaway when he's facing Sue and Donald and the whole Rams defense, basically. So you cannot start him.
Yeah.
Look at Tariq Cohen. He's probably the better running back when it comes to Chicago, but not Jordan Howard.
He's a great running back. He's a great receiver and he's
returner.
Punt returner and a quarterback. So he can do it all. So start of the week for receivers is Amari Cooper against Philly. Cooper has emerged into a far reliable fantasy player in Dallas as when he was in Oakland, scoring 2 touchdowns and a combined 71 fantasy points in over 4 games. That includes a 13.5-point effort against the Eagles, who he'll face again this week.
All right.
Their defense has allowed the second most points to receivers lined out wide this season. Brandon Cooks against Chicago. This week's against Chicago will scare some folks. When it comes to Cooks, it shouldn't be based on numbers. Their defense has actually allowed 9 touchdowns and the 4th most fantasy points to receivers who are lined up out wide, where Cooks has to run more than 70% of the routes this season. He remains as a number 2 wide receiver. Edelman against Miami, really. But Edelman posted a stinker over the Vikings, but allow him to rebound when he faces Miami. Larry Fitzgerald against Detroit. They did have one of the best pass defenses in the league, which is now out the window. But Fitzgerald is still catching footballs. He sees more targets now with Christian Kirk on injured reserve. The veteran has a great matchup against Detroit. So consider Fitzgerald a nice flex start this weekend, and Chris Godwin against the Saints. Put up a nice stat line last week, and he is set to do the same again. And with Deshaun Jackson questionable, it'll be even better. Starting, we start Jarvis Juice Landry against Carolina, DJ Moore at Cleveland, Cortland Sutton at San Fran, Mike Williams versus Cincinnati.
Oh yeah, couldn't agree with all of those more. The sit of the week for wide receiver, Alshon Jeffrey versus the Dallas Cowboys.
That's a good one.
He's seen 5 or fewer targets in 4 of his last 5 games. So Carson Wentz isn't even throwing to him. He just has more weapons out there right now. He's just not targeting him. And the Cowboys have allowed the 4th fewest fantasy points to wide receivers at home this season. So basically all these road wide receivers are not looking so good right now.
No.
Of road players, basically. And then Tyler Boyd versus the Los Angeles Chargers. I know it's going to be hard for you, but listen to this. The Chargers only allow an average of 50.1 yards per game to slot wide receivers, where he mostly lines up, and 9.48 fantasy points per game to slot wide receivers. It's not looking so good for Tyler Boyd, especially with his quarterback situation as well. So, I would not start Tyler Boyd.
Our final 3. Let's go through these tight ends, kickers, and defenses quickly.
All right.
Quick. Eric Ebron versus Houston. Ebron was targeted 15 times last week to Jacksonville. With Jack Doyle on injured reserve, it's Ebron.
Exactly.
Couldn't do anything in Detroit, is doing something in Houston. Expect them to bounce back, along with the rest of the Colts, even though they'll probably lose.
Yes.
Jared Cook against Pittsburgh. He's been one of the unsung heroes of the fantasy football world this year, and ranks 5th among points among tight ends, and a highly targeted player for Derek Carr will be a solid option against the Steelers. That's allowed 6 top 12 fantasy tight ends this season. Keep Cook in your lineups. David Njoku against Carolina. His numbers have been uneven, but expect him to bounce back against Carolina, who allows the 3rd most fantasy points to that position this year. And Vance McDonald against Oakland. If you're looking for help at the tight end, Vance McDonald's worth looking off the wire as an 8 free agent. The Raiders have allowed 9 touchdowns and the 2nd most fantasy points to opposing tight ends in 2018. Some stardoms, Trey Burton against the Rams.
Oh, yeah.
Sleepers are Mark Andrews at Kansas City and Ian Thomas at Cleveland.
Ooh.
Because Greg Olsen is out for the year.
Very true, very true.
So,
Sit of the week, You guys said Kyle Rudolph versus the Seahawks. He's failed to score more than 8 fantasy points in all but one of his last 7 games, and he hasn't found the end zone since week 3. That is, you need touchdowns. I'm sorry, you need touchdowns. And then,
well, they have a ton of weapons.
That's very true.
They got my main man Thielen on that team.
That's true. That's why he's not looking so good these past few weeks. And then you got to say Austin Hooper versus the Green Bay Packers. Again, this Packers defense, not that bad when it comes to fantasy-wise. They have allowed just 1 touchdown and the 3rd fewest fantasy points to the tight end position this season. And Hooper's season is basically boomer bust when you think about it. So
Yep. So, kickers. Kamari Fairbairn started the week against the Colts. Fairbairn has taken over the highest scoring kicker in fantasy football after his 19-point performance a week ago. He has now scored a combined 42 points over his last 3 games, and he's put up 13 points on his next opponent, the Colts, back in Week 14. Look for another nice stat line from him. Jason Myers against Buffalo. He's been another big on the stat sheet, ranking in the top 5 in fantasy points among kickers this year. So, and he's still a free agent in 85% of all fantasy football leagues.
wow.
Brett Maher against Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
His numbers have been modest in recent weeks, but he's still a streamable option when the Cowboys face the Eagles. Look for him if he's on your wire. And Mike Bagley against Cincinnati. The Chargers' kicking game has been very shaky this year, but with a good matchup against Cincinnati, it should have no problems for Bagley at home against Cincinnati, against a defense that has allowed 24 field goals overall on an average of 11 points at home to kickers. You start Will Lutz against Tampa Bay and Sebastian Janikowski against the Vikings on Monday night. And I'll do the defenses real quick.
All right.
The Los Angeles Chargers at home against the Bengals. Really? They have no
Yeah,
offense,
pretty
so
much.
start them. The Saints against the Buccaneers. Yes. Denver against San Fran. Denver has a great schedule for the rest of the fantasy playoffs with the Niners, Browns, and Raiders on their schedule.
Wow.
That's a great schedule. Buffalo against New York.
All right.
And finally, the Miami Dolphins, or the Patriots at Miami.
Makes sense.
Steelers at Oakland, definitely makes sense. Arizona against Detroit, and New York Giants at DC.
That makes a lot of sense. I feel you. I'm going to get through my sits for kickers and defenses. I mean, sit of the week, I'm sorry, Mason Crosby, you just had a off year pretty much. He scored fewer than 8 points in each of his last 5 games.
I think that Detroit game ruined him.
I think it did too. And then Atlanta's defense surrenders the 2nd fewest fantasy points to kickers. That's 4.4 fantasy points per game to kickers. That's so low. He's just not looking like a good game for him. And then Matt Prater versus the Arizona Cardinals. He's scoring fewer than 6 fantasy points in 3 of his last 6 games. And the Lions' offense has just been a struggle this whole season. So do not look at that. And then real quick with defenses, you got to say Baltimore versus the Chiefs that we talked about earlier, and Minnesota Vikings defense versus the Seahawks. That's it.
So,
Closing remarks. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our new channel and to follow the show on Instagram at the Hot Seat Sports Talk and now on Twitter. And sorry to Lions punter Sam Martin, we just cannot get you in the show. I don't know.
you know, you're back there all the time. We ran out of time for you.
Sorry, bro.
So, and make sure you go check out Moneyball Sports Serve like we had Darian Harris on last week.
Very awesome.
Go check it out. It's pretty good. They have pretty good deals.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, they do. So it's free marketing advertising for you. So, you know, from our nice Christmas theme set up here, we'll be back for 2 more shows in 2018. So until then, as always, keep it fresh.